Hello and welcome to Wrestler Spotlight. I'm the Maritime Warrior, and today's episode will be about one of Canadian wrestling's biggest legends, the original Cuban assassin, Angel Acevedo. Born in 1941, the future Cuban assassin would make his wrestling debut in 1973 for Eddie Graham's Championship Wrestling from Florida. It's in Championship Wrestling from Florida that the Cuban assassin character would be created. The character was created to resemble Fidel Castro. The Cuban assassin is probably most remembered for his time in Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling in the Maritimes and Stampede Wrestling out of Calgary, Alberta. In Calgary Stampede Wrestling, he would win the international tag team titles 6 times with partners like the Cuban Assassin II, Norman Frederick Charles III, Francisco Flores, the future Honky Tonk Man Wayne Ferris, and Jerry Morrow. It's during his time in Calgary that he would create the legendary tag team, the Cuban Commandos, with Jerry Morrow. In Stampede Wrestling, the Cuban assassin would face off with the Hart brothers, Bruce, Ross, Keith, Owen, and Bret Hart. The Cuban assassin would also share the ring with Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, the British Bulldogs. In Stampede Wrestling, he would also wrestle a young Kaiichi Yamada, who would later on be Jushin Thunder Liger in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Moving over to the Maritimes, in Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, he would win their tag team titles 8 times with partners like the Carpetbagger, this is Angelo Poffo under a mask, Goldie Rogers, Bobby Bass, Raul Castro, Leo Burke, Sweet Daddy Siki, and Jerry Morrow. What the Cuban assassin is probably most remembered for in Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling is his feud with Leo Burke. They battled for many years until one day in 1985, the Cuban assassin had enough of Sweet Daddy Siki and all the bad guys, and he turned into a good guy. He would ask Leo Burke to be his tag team partner, and another legendary tag team was created. The Cuban assassin and Leo Burke would win the tag team titles 2 times. By the late 80s, the Cuban assassin was going back to his old ways. He would brutally attack Leo Burke, ending their partnership and their friendship. The following week, after a match between the Beast and Harley Race, all hell would break loose. The good guys and the bad guys from both locker rooms would charge the ring, and a wild brawl would break out. After this wild brawl, Leo Burke, with a bloody forehead, would grab the mic and say, "Cuban assassin, I brought you into my house. I fed you. I treated you better than my own brothers. Remember, you asked me to be your partner. I didn't ask you." This would be one of Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling's last major angles, as they would close their doors in 1990. The Cuban assassin would also work for the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, holding the North American Tag Team titles, the Caribbean Tag Team titles, and the World Tag Team titles. By the 1990s, the Cuban assassin is starting to wind down his career. He would return to the Maritimes in 1999 to team with his son, Richie Acevedo, who would wrestle under the name Cuban Assassin II. This would be for Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling's 1999 Legends Tour. On this tour, he would wrestle a young Rene Dupree who was just starting off his career. He would also work on this tour with Wildman Gary Williams, Cowboy Mike Hughes, and Brody Steele, and he would also work with mainstream stars like Kurgan and Bobby Roode. The Cuban assassin would officially retire in 2004, ending a legendary career that is still remembered to this very day. And that's the story of the Cuban assassin. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next week.